Every year, the Iowa Cancer Registry releases a report that looks at the top projected 10 cancers in Iowa among men and women. The cancer report in Iowa looks at 5 years worth of data, with the latest report looking at cancer data from 2017 through 2021. That data broken down into many categories, including cancer type, age of diagnosis, and the county where the person lives. In the latest report, breast, prostate, and lung were the leading types of cancer statewide. The report also shows more Iowans are surviving cancer. The director of the Iowa Cancer Registry says while the report only includes data up to 2021, they're constantly working to bring in newer data faster.
Everything kind of lags a little bit, and so we don't actually know what's happening right now. We have to always wait some time, and all the registries are really trying to leverage things like electronic pathology records and other ways of getting information faster.
The report includes data from newly diagnosed cancers among Iowans and not recurrences.
We collect newly diagnosed cancers. So if somebody has, say, is diagnosed with breast cancer, that they're treated and cured, and then it comes back a few years later and it's the same cancer, we wouldn't collect that recurrence. We're only collecting the first time. But if that person with breast cancer is cured and then 10 years later develops melanoma, then they're in our registry again. That's a new cancer for them.
The Cancer in Iowa report doesn't just break down the latest cancer rates in the state. Each report also comes with an educational objective. This year, the focus is on cancer survivorship. There is an estimated 172,000 cancer survivors living in Iowa. That's roughly 5.4% of the state's population. With more Iowans surviving cancer every year, the report shows that more needs to be done to meet the unique needs and specialized support for those Iowa cancer survivors.
To provide the resources that cancer survivors need across our state, especially in some more rural areas. The reimbursement for a lot of services that would benefit cancer survivors is not there. So it's very challenging, even for the bigger hospitals, to offer really good survivorship care. And I think we as a state in Iowa need to do more to figure out, are we meeting the needs of this growing cancer survivor population?
Each year, the goal is to choose a topic that is not only educational, but raises awareness about a cancer-related issue that's impacting Iowans. Coming up tonight on News 4 at 10, KTIV's Katie Koppel digs deeper into the report and cancer rates reported here in Woodbury County.